And so I'll introduce to you, and also, sorry for interpreters, I'll start speaking in French. And then I will introduce the speaker in English. That should be interesting for interpreters. Once again, I would like to thank our sponsors, participants, the committee of volunteers, also speakers. I've had only very positive comments about presentations. Thank you very much. Conferences will be made available in a few weeks as soon as possible on our website. There is some video montage to do, some editing to do rather. If you have questions for speakers, you can write me an email. I will put you in touch with the speakers and get you an answer. On this, I will switch over to English.
I would like to introduce you to the speaker, Danielle Campo. I always admire her. She was ambassador of MDC for I don't know how many years, 17 years. So I always know her and saw her on pictures. I had the honor to meet her in Ottawa last year. And now I have the chance to work with her. So she's now an MDC employee. So I will begin, and sorry for my accent. Danielle Campo McLeod knows what it takes to achieve goals. Her story is about achievements against the odds. It's about the challenge she faces and the determination that is required to overcome and persevere. Danielle believes that a combination of determination, perseverance, and patience that measures success in small steps in a successful approach to sport and to anyone's life journeys. Danielle's proudest achievement is that she's the mother to 3 amazing children, Callum, Ella, and Corbin. In 2001, Danielle was the youngest member to be invested with the Order of Ontario. The Order of Ontario is the most prestigious official honor in the Canadian province of Ontario. The Order of Ontario honors service of the greatest distinction and of singular excellence in any field of endeavor benefiting society in Ontario and elsewhere. Danielle is a former Paralympic swimmer and was a member of Team Canada from 1998 to 2006. In that time, she represented Canada at 2 Paralympics, winning a total of 3 gold medals, 2 silvers, and 1 bronze, and she held a total of 8 world records. Danielle has received many awards to honor her significant contributions and achievements by the highest ideals and qualities of citizenship and humanitarian service. That word was complicated, Danielle. Danielle is a graduate of the University of Windsor with a honored degree in social work. She worked in child welfare for 13 years. Danielle has been one of the national ambassadors for Muscular Dystrophy Canada since 2001. Most recently, has become a staff member of MDC as a Director of Quality Assurance and Program Development. Please welcome Danielle Campo McLeod.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, and Marie gave me the lovely job of closing the conference, but I'm more excited that there's more than just our staff in the room, because I thought maybe everyone would leave and go home. So thanks for staying right to the end. Like I said, I'm very happy to be here, and I'd like to take you back to share my story. I am a staff member with Muscular Dystrophy Canada. I am an accomplished Paralympic athlete, and most certainly now a crazy mother of 3 children, so running around all the time. That's not where my journey began and how I am here today. In 1985, I was born to a family that was very involved in sports. I have 2 older brothers, and I was the first girl in our family. And my mom still jokes when she gives presentations that she's pretty sure everyone across Canada heard her scream when they told her it was a girl. I started to go on the same as my brothers. I started to crawl, I started to walk, but it was when I started walking that my mom noticed I would ask to be picked up more often than what my brothers were. So she thought, well, maybe it's because the boys are more active than girls, and that's okay. So she kept kind of paying attention to it. She noticed that I would never just stand up off of the ground, or I never would squat when I was playing. So she made an appointment to go to our family doctor, and she said to the family doctor, I'm sure this is because of my husband is flat-footed, and it's probably his fault, and she's just flat-footed. So give her some orthotics in her shoes, build up her arches, and away she'll go. Well, the doctor told my mom that he thought there was something more to this and that they needed to go to see a specialist. So back in 1985, when you would go to your family doctor and then you would wait for the specialist appointment, it was 11 months that the specialist appointment would be. And so my mom said, no, that's not going to happen, and turned into one of those crazy mothers that I now understand what she was talking about, being a mother myself. And she called and called and called and called and said, you have to have a cancellation. You have to be able to get her in sooner. And so about 4 months after the first doctor's appointment, I went to the specialist appointment. He had my mom take off my pants and said, leave her in her diaper and ask her to walk down the hall. So I walked down the hall and I came back, and I didn't know. I was 2. I did what I was supposed to. I was happy and bouncy and never stopped talking. And the doctor told my mom, your child has muscular dystrophy. And my mom describes her world stopping instantly and saying, you must be wrong. It cannot be that. My husband's flat-footed. I told you this is his fault. You can't say that this is muscular dystrophy. Back then, we didn't know what we know about muscular dystrophy now. So instantly, my mom thought that this is a life sentence, and this means that my child is going to die from muscular dystrophy. So time went on, and they decided in our family that because sports were so important, that we were just going to do everything that we could do to keep the strong muscles strong, and that was going to be our approach. As I grew up, I started to do the same thing that every child whose story has muscular dystrophy involved, the occupational therapist, the physiotherapist. And I will let you in on a little secret that when I was younger, I referred to them as the physioterrorists. And why do I have to go back to see the physioterrorists all the time? I had an amazing physiotherapist who found out what I really loved to do. And when I was in the water, there was nothing that I couldn't do. So she said, well, let's bring your physiotherapy to the water. Let's go in the water and do physiotherapy. And that's where swimming kind of came into my life. So it started as doing therapy in the water and slowly progressed to that I was faster than my brothers at something. I could beat my brothers, and that was pretty cool. So I joined a summer swim team, and from there, I was recognized by one of the coaches that had said to my parents, have you ever heard of the Paralympic Games? I think she might have potential to be a competitive swimmer. And not knowing what they were, we did some research, and that started my career and into training. So I started where I was training just 3 times a week for half an hour, and I would just go and have fun, and slowly it built up to, by the end of my career, I was training 7 hours a day. In the morning before school, I would do some training in the afternoon, and then I would do some training at night as well so that I could compete at this level. I can see all of the therapists in the room going, oh my God, it's a lot of training. That's not good for your muscles. And so that's kind of what led to the end of my career, is being able to stay at that top level like any athlete. Is your body eventually starts to say, you can't do this anymore. And so I had to take a break. but to go back and to share my journey with you. So I was discovered in 1996 that maybe the Paralympics were something we wanted to pursue. Knowing that my family is a big sports family, hockey is something that was always a sport that my brother played and always a big part of our life. I put skates on at the age of 5. I scored my first goal on my own net, and I took my skates off and never skated again. And then I knew that this probably is not going to be that I follow in my brother's footsteps and I have to find my own thing. I kept swimming, and at the age of 13, I broke my first world record by 32 seconds and qualified myself for the Paralympics in 2000. It's a 9-day competition, Olympic trials, so I broke my world record on the very first day, and I had to wait 9 days to find out if I had made the team. Not understanding that obviously if you broke a world record by that much, you had made the team, but I would ask my mom every day, do you think I made it? Do you think I made it? To finally she was saying, if you ask me again, I'm going to tell them not to take you. I went to my first Paralympic Games in Sydney, Australia, and it was an amazing experience where I won 3 gold medals, and I returned home a very different person. It's something that people don't often ask about the Olympics or know about the Olympics. When you leave and you go to the Olympics, you're just like every athlete that you train with, that you all have the same dream of wanting to be an Olympic athlete. When you return home from the Olympics, you are the Olympic athlete. And when you have the medals to go with it, you are the Olympic gold medalist. So I had a choice to make. I could choose to look down at these medals and say, these are my medals and I worked so hard for these medals, or I could share them with every person that became a part of my journey. The first thing I did when I got home was I went right back to that physiotherapist's office and I brought my gold medal and I said, we did it. We won a gold medal. You thought outside of the box and you made me see that I could have dreams, that I could have a journey, that I didn't have to have a disability or muscular dystrophy wasn't going to stop me. And so that is when I made the decision that somehow, I'm not sure, but somehow I will give back. I will share my story and I'll give back my journey. So what happened was the phone rang. And now you have to remember I was 16 years old when I came home from my first Olympics. So the phone was ringing constantly for different talks and traveling all over the country. And we had been doing it for about 6 months. And my mom and I said, you know what, we're getting really tired. We're just going to take the summer off. We're not going to do any more public speaking. We'll start again in September and that'll be good. Is that a good decision? And we decided together, yes, we will make that decision. We won't do any more public speaking. About a couple days later, the phone rings, and I hear my mom on the phone saying, absolutely, we would love to go. We would love to talk. She'll be there. And I thought, what the heck? I was pretty sure we were on the same page, that we aren't doing anything. And she said, well, Muscular Dystrophy Canada just called and asked if we would go and do a presentation. And I said, okay, that makes sense why you would say yes. And she said, well, no, you have to understand, Muscular Dystrophy Canada would like you to go to talk to all of the firefighters across Canada. You can't miss this opportunity. And so the relationship began, where I would go and do talks for Muscular Dystrophy Canada to our firefighters, because they are our main support through our charities. So I would go and get to meet them and get to be the face of muscular dystrophy. My relationship with MDC continued to grow, and I would get to go to more talks and different talks and get to meet different people through that. While I was continuing to do school and swim, I swam at one more Paralympic Games, and it was very exciting for me because the world had caught up. So though I had to work really, really hard for my gold medals, I had to work even harder 4 years later for my bronze and my silver medals. I won my gold medals by over 30 seconds in some races, 22 in another race, and 12 seconds in my final race. And in Australia, I won the bronze medal by 1/100th of a second. So competition had caught up, and what that meant was the Paralympic movement was growing. You can walk into any school, any sports complex, and say the word Paralympics, and people understand what they are now. And that is so exciting, and that's been a lot of hard work from the athletes, sharing our stories and explaining that the Paralympics mean parallel to the Olympics. It means we train just as hard as the Olympic athletes, and we deserve the same recognition as the Olympic athletes. So it became another part of my journey. I continued to do talks for muscular dystrophy. I continued to get to share my story, and my story started to change and develop, where I had stopped training so much. And I wasn't experiencing the muscle weakness that we were so afraid of. Because you also have to understand, in my world, I was training all these hours. I had great arm muscles, great abs. I knew that my legs were, the lower part of my body was the weaker part. But I was terrified to stop swimming, because what would happen to my body if I stopped this level of exercise? So I stopped swimming, I stayed really active, and I made sure to keep those strong muscles strong. What started to happen is the more MDC events I went to, the more I would sit in the back of the room, listen to the researchers talk or listen to the doctors talk and think, something's not quite right. When I was born, I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy fibrodysproportion, which was just a title that I never really understood, but I knew it meant my legs were weaker than my arms. And as the research continued to go on, I would hear different things and I'd say, well, I don't fit that puzzle piece, or I don't have those symptoms, or I don't feel like that. And so I was able to hook up with a different physician and do all of the different testing that was coming out every year to figure out what form of muscular dystrophy I had. And we continue to figure that out today. So I know that one day we will have the official diagnosis of what it is. And I just keep telling Dr. Ternopolsky to just name it after me, and I'll be okay with that. So I continue to go on, and then I was getting older, and the question of, could I have a family? Would I be able to have a family on my own? And not knowing exactly, what types we had or what was going on, and doing different genetic testing and finding out that, I could go and do a blood test or a muscle biopsy, and I could walk into Dr. Ternopolsky's office, and he could go through all of the words and all of the presentations we heard today where I didn't understand a lot of it. And I could know that in the end, he closed the papers and said, well, there's nothing here to tell me to say to you, don't go have a baby, so go have a family. And that was the moment that I thought, wow, our life is changing. So in 1987, when I was diagnosed, my mom stood by the car in the parking lot and cried because that was a life sentence. And in 2015, I could walk into my doctor's office and I could say to my doctor, I want to have a family. And he could say, okay, let's do these tests. Let's figure out if that's a possibility and what that's going to look like and how we're going to support you through what that's going to be. Let's do these exercises. Let's figure out how to keep you your healthiest person. And so I went on and I had a beautiful baby boy. He's a crazy 2-year-old. And then I got really smart and thought the easiest way to have a large family is I will marry a man who already has 2 kids, and it's an instant family. So it was perfect. I only had to have one, and my dream of becoming a mom was accomplished. And now I have 3. So it works out perfectly for me. So why does my journey bring me here today? Why am I selected as the one that gets to close the conference? The reason that I get to stand in front of you today is to say thank you. My job is simply today to say thank you, because you're all in this room for a different reason related to a neuromuscular disorder. Whether you're a therapist, whether you're a family member, whether you're a physician. I just watched a very young physician, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to remember your name, who was able to speak with knowledge translation that I understood this amazing research project that he is doing. And I could understand and I could see the passion and the excitement. And what I have gotten from all of this week is that you all have the same passion and the same excitement, that you want to do more for the people living with a neuromuscular disorder. Where would my life be today if that physiotherapist had never said, let's take it to the water? Let's forget the braces right now. Let's just bring it to the water. I'm not sure where my life would be today. I could probably tell you that I wouldn't be the National Ambassador of Muscular Dystrophy Canada. Maybe in a wheelchair because I wouldn't have continued to do the exercise. My paths would have never crossed with Dr. Ternopolsky, where I would have started taking creatine and found out that that can keep me stronger than anything else that we've discovered to date. So I say thank you. I say thank you for having the passion to continue to do the research and the everyday work with the clients. I heard the motto today, from research to the bedside, and I can't tell you how amazing that is. We come to you as clients living with neuromuscular disorders so broken sometimes, so scared, so afraid of what the future is going to be. And you look at us and you tell us, it's okay. There's new things happening every day. I have a new exercise that I can show you that's going to keep you walking just a little bit longer. We have a new drug that's being discovered that we're going to try to bring to Canada. You give us hope to just be normal. The gift of just getting to be normal and having a dream and living your life so that you can accomplish that dream. So I want to say to you, on the days where you feel like you're meeting those roadblocks, because our system isn't perfect and our system is broken, I want you to remember me and know that I am chasing after a 2-year-old that's absolutely crazy, flinging himself out of a crib every day, and I'm loving every moment of it, because you take the time to do your job and you give me the gift to just get to be. And so I say thank you so much for taking time away from your families, taking time away from your everyday busy lives to come to a conference like this and learn a little bit more. Because what we know for us people living with a neuromuscular disorder is when you come to this conference and you go home, miracles happen. And we say thank you. So on behalf of Muscular Dystrophy Canada, I get to tell you that I'm now a director with the organization, living my fullest life, loving every minute of it, and really excited for the day that we can stand up here together and say, you did it, and we found the cure. So thank you so much. And nobody's stuck up the time signs or the intrusive, you got 1 more minute. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments or anything. I think we have time, but I think you guys forgot your... Oh, we apparently have 5 minutes. So if you have any questions or comments, I will be around for a little bit as well after. Thank you.
Je vous laisse partir.
I'll let you go. I just forgot on one important information. I will be sending out evaluation forms. That's important if you want to improve. I'll send this to you by email. It's very important, so just take a few minutes to answer. And also, thank you, Danielle. Thanks to everyone. And have a safe trip home.